Hello guys and welcome to this tutorial for AutoCAD. Currently I'm using the 2022 version, but you could be using any version and it would be same 90% of the time. As you can see my cursor going around on screen right now. This is what you'll see when you turn on AutoCAD and you basically press new and you are greeted with a new workspace to work on. This is the application tab. It's quite similar to other applications you might have used before like Word and PowerPoint. There's an export feature where we export to PDF, which is quite important. For now we will go into drawing utilities and check out the units. Units is an important part of AutoCAD because we need to change the units according to what our project requires. So currently I'm in millimeters, but we can also change them to meters and other units if required. Up above you can see the quick access toolbar, and down here we can see the ribbon which has tabs and all the tools which we'll look at today. At the top right you have some user information that AutoCAD stores, but we won't look at that. Okay, this is the workspace. You move around it by clicking down on your middle mouse button. I have a button prompt on the top right if you want to see which button I'm pressing. And you zoom in and out by scrolling up and scrolling down. Below we have the command line where we enter commands. We'll try and look at that in a bit. And at the bottom right we have the advanced options which we use sometimes. Here we have three options. We have the model space and we have the layout space. We won't look at the layout space today because it's a complicated process. We'll just introduce you guys to CAD today. So let me start by the most basic of tools, which is the line tool on the draw ribbon. If you hold your mouse on a tool, it shows you what the tool does. So I have selected the line tool right now, and my crosshair, so the cursor is called crosshair, has turned into plus, and as you can see we are shown coordinates of where the mouse is when I'm making the line. I click once and I drag, and now I am making the line. When I'm happy with where the line is, I click again to decide that this is what I want my line to be. If I have a specific measurement in mind, I can also input it into the number pad and press enter, and I get that measurement. Of course, I can just click randomly wherever I want and continue on making the shape I like. Try this feature in your AutoCAD application because it's quite fun to use. Another user-friendly option that CAD offers is snapping. So when I get close to this edge, my mouse will get attracted to it. It's a very small jittery motion, but it helps us to specifically target and select edges like this edge we see between the two lines. And now my mouse click there, and again I can continue on going wherever I would like. And press escape to stop using a tool. We won't look at polyline today because it's quite complicated when you get into it, and polyline is used to make other complicated shapes, so we'll learn that in a bit. Now we'll move on to circle. Click and drag. Currently we are changing the radius of the circle, so I'll input the value of the radius I would like. I can also make a circle with a random radius. It's totally up to me. The next tool we look at is the arc tool. We'll click once, we'll click a second time, and then we'll click a third time. The second time is the midpoint, and the third time is where we want our end to be. The arc has multiple options to go through, but this is advanced, so we won't look at it today. Let's try making a square using the rectangle tool. Rectangle tool is usually used to make rectangles, but we'll try making a square with it. We enter the dimension and we press tab to switch to the other dimension, and we enter the same. Let's look at the measure tool to check whether we got the correct dimensions. Measure tool is used to take quick dimensions if you need them. As we can see, it's 35 by 35, which is a square. Since they're the same, of course I could have made a random rectangle. It wouldn't have mattered. Making an ellipse is easy. You click and drag to enter the radius, and then you decide on how thick it's going to be by dragging the mouse closer to the center. or further away. The last tool in the draw tab, of course, you can use your line to make any abstract. Currently I'm making abstract shapes, but of course we can use this to make buildings. Now let's look at the last tool in the draw tab, which is called hatch. Hatch is quite similar to the hatching we have experienced in drawing 1, in which you fill a shape with a pattern, and currently I'll try to add a solid fill. Of course there are many options I could have chosen, but currently let's try a solid fill. Let's choose the color red so that it's quite prominent, and I can click in any enclosed space and it gets filled up with the color. Remember, it needs to be an enclosed space, otherwise it won't work, because AutoCAD has an infinite workspace, as you can see right now. You cannot enter color into an infinite space, so it needs to be enclosed. Let's try it again. You can experiment with hatching. Of course, hatching is a good way to check whether your computer has the minimum specs to run AutoCAD. If hatching happens as fast as it does on screen right now, your computer can easily handle AutoCAD. I entered the hatch, but it's too big. I'll just make it smaller so that it's visible easily. I'll change the color to green or any other color you like. Just experiment around and play around with AutoCAD to learn more about it. Selecting. Let's talk about selecting objects. So click and drag. You don't have to hold down the mouse button. You can click and drag to the left or click and drag to the right. You get either a green selection box or a blue selection box respectively. Let's try clicking on this square we made earlier. Again, I just clicked on the edge of the square to select the entire square, and I'll use the move option from the modify tab to move the square away. Now, the green selection, as soon as it touches a line or an object, selects that line or object. As you can see, I'm clicking on the edges, but I am still able to select the entire square. The blue selection, on the other hand, requires you to completely encompass the shape or line you require inside the selection area. This can be useful in tough situations where you need to select specific objects. Of course, you can click on an object and warp its shape using the nodes it has. And like other softwares, you can undo and simply go back to what you had in the beginning. Let's select this object and try applying the modify options on it. First, you need to select the object you want to apply the options to, and now you select the tool. So let's quickly go through the options. I selected the shape, and now this is the copy tool, which I can simply use to copy the object multiple times. I've selected it, and now I'll use the rotate option to rotate the shapes which I have selected. You can rotate this by a particular angle as well if you like. And now let's try mirroring them. Mirroring requires you to draw a line and it mirrors the shape exactly how it is to the opposite side, and you can choose whether or not you want to leave the original shape in or not. I decided to leave it in. You can enlarge or shrink the size of the shapes by selecting them and choosing the scale option. If you just want to trim out a line, we can simply use the trim option and cut off any line we do not require. You can also select the objects and instead of choosing the tool, just write down the tool you want. Like I just wrote down line, and I could make a line, or I could move my object around. That's the command line interface. That's what command line is used for. This is the text option. I'll just quickly show you. We can add text into AutoCAD. Won't go into it quite deeply because it's an advanced subject. We can also go to the annotate tab, which is specifically for adding text, dimensions, and um, other dimension based measurements. I'm currently warping and changing the options for my AutoCAD text. Just to go through it quickly, we can also add dimensions by simply clicking on two edges of a shape and dragging the mouse out. It's quite similar to how you make dimensions on drawings, but quite quicker and easier. Multi-leader is used when you want to point out specific objects. You just click on it and an arrow is formed, and you can type on what the object is in order to describe it, or just write more about it. Let's go to the insert tab, and with the insert tab you insert blocks which you have in your PC, but I currently don't have any open right now, but I have them loaded up already. Once you load them up, you can go into your recent blocks and add them through here. I currently have a model of a screw loaded in, which I'll drag and drop onto my workspace, and suddenly I have a model, pre-built model on my workspace, which is known as a block. I can again do all the things I would like to it, like rotate it around and draw some other shapes over it. It's totally alright. Getting into CAD might seem quite daunting, but trust me, it's quite easy once you get the hang of it, and you'll be making plans in no time on this lovely software. Thank you so much for watching.